Hey guys, welcome back to the business of art. I'm going to go over teaching art classes today. It's something I'm frequently asked about, like how much do I charge? What materials would I need? How would I promote it? Where should I do it? You know what I mean? So I actually started out years ago teaching mixed media classes in my own home. Now, that was fun, but I didn't really know what I was doing. So I basically just kind of get out all of my art supplies, pile them on the table. I could maybe fit like 8 people around my table, and it was just a mess. It would end up lasting like 5 hours because I had no structure. It was a lot of fun though. Everybody had a great time. We would have wine and cheese and whatever. So it was a lot of fun. But at some point I was like, well, I would love to learn how to do this on a much larger scale. So I actually went and took other classes. I go to Scrapbook Expo every year, so I tried out some classes there. I took some from Art Anthology, Craft Fantastic, and quite a few other different brands because I wanted to see what they did. And long story short, the key was duplication. So everybody would have the same materials and they'd be making the same piece. Now, mind you that they can put their own spin on it, they could put their own create on it, but basically it's that. You don't want to give way too many options. So they would have a little pack and they would have 30 people that they were teaching or 50 or whatever. If it was a large class, they often had a projector. Okay, so that's your first thing, is don't give students too many options. No matter what kind of class you're teaching, you know what I mean? Kind of everybody gets the same materials and whatnot. So then I started doing paint nights, okay? Now my own, not the company paint night, but my own company, which is The Painter in You. And I, at the time, had a studio, so that was really easy. I just put together some of these and I would do the step-by-step myself. The first few I actually had my sister over and I taught her and saw if it was easy to follow. And basically my motto was if I could do it in about 30 minutes, then the class could do it in about 2 hours. So I did research local paint nights and whatnot and found out that the classes were generally 2 hours and they were generally around $40 across the US. So that gave me a good starting point for pricing and time frame, and I looked at the other paintings and saw what, looked at the similarities of what was easy enough to do about them. So then I started contacting local bars and restaurants, and you have to think of what value you would give them. So think about it. If you have a local restaurant and you get 30 people there, those 30 people are going to be buying food and drinks. So that's really beneficial for the bar or the restaurant, right? So I would just market it to them that way, and it was generally easy. They would at least agree to try one. And if it went great, awesome. Then we could keep coming back. So that's how those ended up getting built up. And these are a 2-hour class. It's acrylic paint only, really simple. I walk the students through it step by step by step. Okay, so this is anybody can do it, no problem, and it's generally around $40. This is also something that you could really easily do as private paint nights. So I do them at churches, at offices, people's homes for birthday parties, and I have kids versions and then I have adult versions. So the kids versions take maybe an hour. They're smaller canvas, they're easier, and they are cheaper because kids have short attention spans. They're not going to sit there for 2 hours. You're not going to wait for anything. You're going to the class is going to go, 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 go. And that's that. Okay. So now, what about acrylic pull ring? Well, you have to think of a few things. That adds in an added difficulty of they can't take it home easily, right? Because the second they start to move it, well, it's going to be a problem. So I've done a couple things. One is I did teach an acrylic pouring class at my house. Not at a restaurant. I haven't done any restaurants because unless I can get them to agree to leave the canvases there, it's not really going to work, unfortunately. But what I did was I got just like pans, like those cheap baking pans from a dollar store, 8x10 canvases. I gave each student 2 canvases because I wanted them to be able to try more than one technique. Also, once again, what value are you providing to your students? If it's a 5-minute class, well, what's the real value? If you've already mixed all the paint for them and you just give it to them and say, okay, now dump it on the canvas, there's not a lot of value. So you can't charge a lot for that class. So what I did with my students is they each got 2 8x10 canvases. And the first thing I did was teach them about the materials, what the materials were, and how to mix the paint. I showed them the consistency, and then I made them mix their own paint. So that right there took a good, 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes even, okay? And then I showed them 3 or 4 different techniques. So I showed them the flip cup, I showed them the tree ring pour, and I showed them I think I showed a swipe. And then also the difference between a clean pour and a dirty pour. So we then had another, 10 to 15 minutes of education or so. And then I let the students choose the colors they wanted and choose the techniques they wanted and go ahead and do that, okay? So it ended up being about an hour-long class, and then I made the students leave their canvases and then come back and get them when they were dry. Or if they wanted to take them, I just let them take them in the pan that they had, and I cautioned them to drive very carefully and when they get home to immediately put it on a flat surface. So a few students did take them home and I never heard any complaints. So that is another option, you know what I mean? I just wouldn't recommend that. So that covers basically like kind of doing a paint night kind of with acrylic, or doing, in terms of cost for the acrylic pouring, for 2 8x10 canvases and an hour-long lesson, I don't know, I'd say about $30 to $40 is really an appropriate cost. So how do you get students? Well, first of all, if you have your Facebook page for your art, and if you are regularly posting and sharing on Instagram, Facebook, etc., these students will come to you. You actually won't even have to go out and find them. That's how I started teaching classes in the first place, was I would post all my mixed media paintings, and then my friends would be like, I want to do a class on this. Can you teach us how to do it? And I was like, okay, fine, come on over. So that's how it started. And then same thing with the acrylic pouring, my friends were like, we want to learn how to do this. And I was like, all right, come on over. You know what I mean? So, if you are promoting your own art, then you become an opinion leader in the area and people want to learn from you. So they will actually ask. The other thing is to join local Facebook groups to wherever you're delivering the class. If it's at a bar or a restaurant in another city, join the Facebook groups around those and promote in those areas. Of course, promote to your own friends and family on yours, but I found that the groups are very helpful. So I live in an area called Sunland, Tahunga of Los Angeles. So there's actually like 5 or 6 local groups just for Sunland, Tahunga. And then there are other ones nearby, like the neighboring cities. So I'm a part of all of those. And if I have a class, I let those people know about it. And if I'm doing it at a restaurant, they generally help me promote it as well. So it should be fairly easy to fill up the classes just by doing that. You can also pass out flyers around the area if you wanted to, and definitely create a Facebook event for it. So that was a lot of information. I hope it was helpful. I hope if you've thought about teaching classes that you just kind of jump into it, and definitely let me know if you have any questions, and let me know if you would like me to break down the specific step-by-step for how to teach a specific class, because I actually have like checklists for each type of class in terms of like how to set up the room, what supplies we need, etc., how to greet the students, you know what I mean? So if that's something that you need and want, let me know, and I'll get that to you. All right. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you next time.